Holla holla! It's Tuesday, which is typically a busy day for me. We woke up, got ready, people came to fix my treadmill, but couldn't fix my treadmill, so they had to order some parts. And then I got a call from Embry's dance teacher that her class has been moved to Thursday, so that got checked off our daily schedule. And then I got a text from our yoga teacher that they're not feeling well, and so yoga got checked off of our schedule today. So now we have a free day to do whatever we want. Soli wants to just sleep. Poor baby. Anyway, I thought today I will continue the Getting to Know You series, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite thing ever. When I became a mother. So that all started with my son Cayben. So after Shay and I got married, we didn't plan on having kids right off the bat. We thought we'd wait a while. We were both students, finishing up school, and we were broke. But anyway, a couple months into marriage, we decided that we wanted to have a kid. And so, with just that thought, it seems, I became pregnant. So, my pregnancy with Cayben was pretty eventful. One of my jobs, when I was pregnant, we worked with a group of youth in the summer. We ran a summer program. I think it was called the GREAT program, Gang Resistance Education and Training. So, we worked with these young kids in conjunction with the local police department. And we take them to do different community service activities, and then we do fun activities in addition. So one day we went to a neighboring town called Lava Hot Springs, and yes, it is lava to the locals, not lava. And we cleaned up a park in the morning or something, and then in the afternoon we were going to go float down the river there, which is a common activity. People rent tubes and you go float down the river. I'd done it before, didn't seem like a big deal. So we're going to float down the river, and we go up farther than I've ever been up the river, and we get in on our tubes above this waterfall, which, I mean, it wasn't a huge waterfall, but it was a waterfall. And I was a little nervous, but I'm like, whatever, all these little kids are doing it, I can do it too. So I jump on, I'm going down the waterfall, and at the bottom, so it's like a donut tube that I'm on. So my legs are out one side and my butt's in the middle of the hole. So I go down this waterfall, and at the bottom I hit a rock on my tailbone, and it hurt my tailbone. But I didn't think too much about it. So the next morning I wake up early, and my sister comes over, and we're going on our daily jog. And before we even started jogging, we would walk about a quarter mile to get to the Greenway, it was called, which was like a paved trail where we would run. So we were walking down the road to get to our trail when all of a sudden I felt like I peed my pants. But it wasn't pee, it was blood. So I automatically panicked. I turned around, walked as quickly as I could home, and I was just freaking out. I thought for sure I was miscarrying, and I was just heartbroken. So Shay took me up to the ER, and it seems like we were there for a long time, and everyone had assumed that I miscarried. The doctor was talking to me about if I needed any help mentally, how I was coping and whatnot, and then they decided to do an ultrasound. So I sat in the ER room, in the exam room, for a long time and just was dealing with the fact that I had just miscarried. And so they decided to do an ultrasound just to see like what was going on, if there was, I don't really know what the reason was, but to see if there was like any leftover stuff or something. So they take me in to get an ultrasound, and it was the most amazing moment. I look over on the screen, the lady's got my belly all gooed up with that slime that they use, and I look over on the screen and I see this tiny little baby with a beating heartbeat. And I kid you not, his arm was waving at me, and it was the neatest moment ever, because I had just assumed that I miscarried, and there was my baby, alive and well. And like, honestly, I guess I wasn't that educated on pregnancy at this point because I didn't realize at 8 weeks that your baby looked like a baby. I thought it was like this blob of cells just being put together. I had no idea that you could see a head and arms and legs, but it was just so neat. So what did come of that is I had partial separation of my placenta. So they deemed my pregnancy high risk, which just meant that I had extra ultrasounds, which was exciting. I loved having all the extra ultrasounds. And when I had my girls, I missed having all those ultrasounds because I love getting a peek at my babies. But anyway, so everything healed fine. The rest of my pregnancy went fine. I was sick, but everything went fine. 9 months later or so, when I was 37 weeks pregnant, on a Friday, I felt like my water broke. Now, it wasn't a gush or anything, but it felt like a constant trickle. And I had read that sometimes when your water breaks, it's not a gush and it's just a constant trickle. So, thinking my water broke, I went up to the hospital, obviously. And they put me in a room and they examined me and they told me my water wasn't broke, which I still don't really believe them, but maybe I'm not a medical professional, so maybe it wasn't. But they decided to do an ultrasound to test everything. And I mean, that ultrasound was sad because I just remember seeing Cayben and he looked like he was so squished, like his face was just squished up and he just looked huge. And I guess my fluids were borderline low, but my doctor happened to be up there. He had just delivered a baby or something. So he looked at the results and he decided that I had an appointment the following Monday, and this was a Friday. He decided that if I hadn't had my baby by Monday, then they would run another ultrasound and decide what to do from there. But he told me, he said, but if I had to guess, I would say you'll be having this baby in the next couple days. So I left the hospital feeling excited that I was going to have a baby in a couple days. On Saturday, I was feeling a little more crampy and having some contractions, but nothing super regular. And I can't remember if we went to the mall before I was having regular contractions or if they started the mall, but we went to go walk around the mall just to get things going a bit. And I remember at about lunchtime, I was having contractions every 7 minutes, and this is when they first started becoming regular. It was every 7 minutes. So we ate a pretzel. I remember that because it was the last meal I had for a long time. We ate a pretzel and walked around some more, and then we went home, got ready to go to the hospital. Things started getting closer and closer. My contractions were 3 minutes apart for a while, and then they moved to 2 minutes apart, and we went up to the hospital. Now at the hospital, I continue to be having pretty hard contractions and regular contractions. They were coming every 2 minutes, but nothing was happening. Nothing was progressing in my body. At this time, they wanted to send me home, but I was convinced that my water was broke, so I asked them to check again, and it was, in fact, broke. The doctor on call, because it was a weekend on this Saturday night, didn't want to do anything. The nurse had told me, she's like, oh, they'll probably give you Pitocin and speed this up and you'll have this baby tonight. But then she went and talked to the doctor on call and he wanted to go home and go to sleep. So the nurse just said, we're going to give you a sleep aid and let you rest through the night and then we'll do this in the morning. Which was a total joke because there was no rest going on when I was in complete pain. But anyway, so the next day came, I made it through the night, I was in pain with constant contractions, but nothing was happening with my body. And at this hospital that I went to, I had my first 2 kids at, their policy was that you cannot have an epidural until you're dilated to 4 centimeters. And I was stuck at a 2 forever. And so I just waited and waited, and I was in pain. They tried to make me sit on my knees, use a birthing ball, do all sorts of different things to be more comfortable, and I just wanted to lay there. I was in so much pain, but nothing was happening. And let me just say, before I ever went into labor, I had read all sorts of stuff, I had a birthing plan, and I was going to have a natural labor, but I had no idea what I was in for. And after laboring all night and just nothing happening. I wanted an epidural, but they wouldn't give me one. So then finally, after a long time, my body started to progress a little bit and I dilated to a 4. And at this point, they went to go get the anesthesiologist so I could get my epidural. But the thing about me, and I can say this now because I've had 3 kids, that once I dilate to a 4, things get crazy. And I've always had a baby within an hour of dilating to a 4. So things got crazy and things sped up. And everyone knew it because I wasn't exactly quiet about it. And so they tried to rush to get the anesthesiologist. They checked me again during this time, and I was dilated to like an 8 or 9 pretty quickly. And so they decided instead of giving me an epidural, they'd give me I just lost it. What is it called? An intrathecal. They'd give me an intrathecal, which I don't really know too much the difference between an epidural and an intrathecal, except for, from my understanding, an intrathecal works quicker, but they can't continue to feed it. So like if you don't have a baby quickly after having it, then it won't sustain you through the rest of your labor. But anyway, that was the best thing that ever happened because I was exhausted by this point. They gave me the intrathecal and I was able to rest, and it was amazing. And although I wasn't resting long because I had a baby shortly after, it just felt amazing. So it came time to push. I didn't have to push very long at all. I didn't feel it. I had to look at the little chart showing my contractions to even know when to have to push. But then I pushed and out came my little sunshine. And there is nothing in the world that can describe the moment that I became a mother. That I held my little bean, my little Cayben in my arms for the first time. I mean, I loved him when he was in my stomach, but just when he was put on my chest and I held him, it was just the most amazing feeling in the world. And I remember, like, when he came out, he was healthy, he was pink, so they let me hold him for a long time before they took him to clean him up and weigh him and do all that stuff. And I remember holding him there, and he was so bright-eyed. He was just staring into my eyes, and he was on my chest, and he lifted his head, which I was amazed by because he was a brand new newborn baby. He had the strength to lift his head, and he looked up at me, and I was just heartstruck at that time. I just was so in love with him, and I have continued to be in love with him since. So his labor and delivery went well. He was a healthy boy, weighed in at 7 pounds, 7 ounces, was born at 38 weeks, and he has just been such a joy since for this past 7 years. There is something so incredible about your first child. The first year seems to drag on. Like, you remember all their firsts. It's so fun to just revolve your life around your first child. The other day I was watching this vlog. I can't even remember what it was because I've been watching so many different vlogs lately. But it was a woman and her baby. Her baby was probably 8, 9, 10 months old. But her vlog was just, the whole time she was just talking to her baby and everything was about her baby. And it just took me back to when I just had one kid, and like everything, the whole day was just scheduled around that one kid. All of their needs were met. But anyway, Cayben was a good little baby. The beginning, the eating, breastfeeding thing at the beginning was a struggle with him, but it worked out. I had some postpartum issues after having him. I just remember, I think it was like mostly tied to the fact that he wouldn't eat at first, and it just stressed me out. I just remember sitting up all night and just watching TV and bawling. That went away. But anyway, Cayben is just such an awesome kid. He, from such a young age, he just has this mind that I love. He's like got a philosophical mind. He thinks about things that I don't even think about, that I don't assume that kids think about. And he's like my little buddy. It's kind of like talking to an adult at times when I talk to him, because just the way his brain works is amazing to me. He's such a willful child. And at times this drives me crazy because he's so strong-willed, but I think it is such a good thing and will be such a blessing in his life. Like, for instance, I don't know how long it's been since we moved here. So last July, Cayben, before we moved here, Cayben had a lizard that died, and he was heartbroken by this. And he decided on his own after this happened that he didn't want to eat meat anymore. So he decided to become a vegetarian. And he has been a vegetarian ever since, which blows my mind. I mean, we don't eat a lot of meat in our home, but there's sometimes, like the other day, his dad cooked some sausage, and he's like, oh, that smells really good. And his dad's like, well, you can have some. He's like, no, I don't want any. I don't like meat. I don't want to eat meat. Like, he's so strong-willed about that. I wish I were like that. I wish I could say, you know, candy makes me feel like crap, and it's not good for me. I'm just not going to eat it. But I can't do it. Anyway, I love Cayben's personality. He's such a thoughtful art. Like, he's so full of feeling. Okay, just a minute. Ember needs some help. So anyway, he is just so full of feeling. He empathizes with others. Like the other day where I was watching a vlog, and he hadn't ever seen this vlog before, so he wasn't like connected to this family. Like sometimes you feel connected to people when you watch their vlogs all the time. But I don't know if you're familiar with Tribe Tyler. I was led on to them from the Shaytards. But anyway, Tyler and his girlfriend Haley, they vlog together. And I started watching their vlogs recently, which they're really cool. You should check them out. I'll provide links below. But just recently, Haley's father passed away unexpectedly, which is really sad, and my heart goes out to them. But anyway, so I'm watching the day of the funeral that Tyler recorded, and just going through that. And my son's watching it with me, and his heart is just broken, and he's trying to hold it together. And by the end, he's just bawling. And he goes to his room, and he just is crying for a good 15 minutes after it's over. And he's just telling me, it's just so sad. I'm so sad when people die. I'm so sad for those people, that guy's family. And he's just heartbroken. And I love that he's a sensitive little guy, and that he's so full of feeling. When he feels sad, he feels it to the max. When he feels happy, he feels it to the max. And I love my Cayben. He has been such a joy in my life. And he's been such just a teacher to me. I had no idea about parenting. I thought I did. You can read all the books you want, but you know, you don't learn it until you parent. And he's been such a teacher to me. And I tell him all the time, I say, you know what, we're figuring this out together. Because I make mistakes all the time as a parent. And I just love him. He's been so good to me, and he's such a blessing. And I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, because I am. But also, I just feel like I can see this kid's potential. I feel like this boy can do great things, and I just look forward to watching him grow and seeing the man that he becomes. So, better go take care of Embry. She needs some help. So I'm going to end this segment. Next, I'll talk about my little Ambry, and then I'll talk about Sully. I love you guys. I love that you watch my videos. Thumbs up and subscribe. Comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Tell me about your birthing experience, or tell me about your first child, or tell me about what's on your mind. I don't care. I just want to hear from you. Take care.
Only vlogs. Oh, I like dog.